So I'd like to go over my first project that I built on my own using Java without any guides or anything. I did use my notes here. I like to keep a OneNote notebook of everything I learned so I can kind of fall back on that. But what it's called is kick, punch, block. You can kind of think of it as rock, paper, scissors, only a kick is going to beat a block, a punch is going to beat a kick, and a block is going to beat a punch. So starting at the top here, we created our scanner object. That way we can take user input. I initialized a bunch of variables at the top here, declared some. I wanted to kind of keep everything together so you can see what we're going to be using. We're going to have some string data types, some booleans, integers. We have one constant here called damage multiplier that won't be changing. And then we also declared a few other variables that we'll assign values to later. At the end of the day, this project is actually only 3 methods here. There's going to be an introduction, we're going to pick a country, and we're going to fight. So that's what we're going to go over today. The first thing that the program is going to do, since it runs top to bottom, is going to do the introduction. That's going to be down here. So all the introduction is, if we run the program here, it's going to welcome and then prompt the user to enter a fighter name. And I did that all in one line using the escape character N to actually print out a separate line. There's no tests or anything, so whatever the user enters here is going to be their fighter name. I'm just going to use Tyler here. So now that it's ran that, it goes back up here and says, okay, what do you want me to do next? You want me to pick a country. Okay, we can do that. So it goes down here and says pick country. So this is all wrapped in a do-while loop, and it's going to have the switch cases down here. But what it's going to do, since it has to run at least once, it goes in here and says, okay, print border, and then print out this text here asking what country you want to fight in, and then to enter a country name. So the user can type in something here. They're supposed to enter in one of these countries, and if they do, it'll assign it to country, and then country, we're going to do this to uppercase method on it, and that's going to capitalize all the characters there, and it also creates a new string, so we have to make a new variable to store that in, which is country uppercase. So this switch case is going to look at country uppercase value, and it's going to say, okay, does it match USA? Does it match Russia? Does it match Canada? If it does, it's going to set the opponent name to whatever case that it matches. And then if it does, it's also going to break, so it's going to escape out of here, because otherwise it would, keep assigning down to the bottom. It'd always be Black Panther. And say if a user doesn't enter one of these countries, like Mexico, it takes Mexico, uppercases all the letters, says, does it match any of these? It doesn't. So we're going to keep the opponent name the same, which is just these two quotes here, and then it's going to loop back again. It's going to keep asking the same thing until this is true. So to show you the capitalized as well, I entered USA in lowercase, but it's actually going to uppercase it, and it's going to match it to USA, and then it's going to assign the opponent name to Rocky. So we got that done. It's going to go back up here, and we're actually already 2/3 of the way done with the program, right? So now it's just got to do the fight, which is the loop right here. So once again, it's a big do-while loop. So the first thing it's going to do is go to actions. Okay, and it says actions. I'm just going to type out some text, the round number, the current health, and then it's also going to roll a random number. Starting at 5 with a range of 5, so it'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. It's going to cast it to an integer, so it's a whole number. It's going to assign that to the damage roll. It's going to be used in a little bit. And then it's also going to decide what the opponent action, so the computer action, is going to be. Once again, a random number starting at 1, range of 3, 1, 2, or 3, whole number. So now this is either 1, 2, or 3. And then the fighter action, so the user can put in the option 1, 2, or 3. Well, they can put in whatever they want, and I have a little test case here to make sure they try to enter 1, 2, or 3, because if it's less than 1, say 0, or higher than 3, like 4, it's going to print out this. We can see that right here. It says, what are you trying to do? Input it again. So that'll keep looping until it's either 1, 2, or 3. So say they put in a 1. Now that action's done, it's going to compare the fighter action, which we just put in as 1, and then it's going to compare it to the opponent action. So here we can see that the computer actually rolled a 2, so this wasn't true, but this was. So it said the fighter action is 1, the opponent action is 2, print the border. They gave a big uppercut to Tyler. So it's going to set the Boolean here, fighter hurt, to true, and it's also a counter attack, because we said punch beats kick. Okay, it's going to test all these other ones. That's not true. That's not true. Blah, blah, blah. So now we're going to update health. So when it goes down to update health, it says, was it a counterattack? Is that true? Yes, it was. Was the fighter hurt? Yes. So we're going to assign the fighter health equal to fighter health minus damage rolled times damage multiplier. And we can see that I took 14 damage, so I must have rolled a 7 and then a 2 multiplier. So that's why I reduced down 14 health. So now we updated health. We're going to check for a knockout. So what that does is says if the fighter health is now less than 0, pretty much end the match. But that's not the case yet, so I didn't worry about that. We're going to reset the variables here to false. We can reuse the next round. And then since the round did not end, we're going to increment the round number to 1. And like I said, this is a do while loop. It's going to keep running while the fired health and the opponent health are both above 0. So I'm going to throw in a couple more options here just to get our health down low. Looks like I'm running out. Uh-oh, not good. So lost this one. So it got to basically check for knockout here. And it said, is fighter health less than 0? It was, so it ended the game there. And that's basically my first game here that I've made. So I had a bunch of fun. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement, a lot of refactoring to do. Like the one thing I was doing was, especially a big one that I changed was update health. I was calling that every time, and they were saying, you know, whenever you repeat yourself, like all these if statements, there's absolutely a better way of doing these if statements. So that'll be my next improvement to this, is how can I change this section here. And I think that would be a really good improvement. And then also some more test cases. And also like a user could have 5 health left, the opponent could have 5 health left. We both do the same attack. You know, it would end the game both ways. So a lot of room for improvement, a lot of to-dos, a lot of to-fixes. But this is my first attempt. Hope you guys had as much fun watching this video as I had making this thing. It was an absolute blast. And keep up with my latest projects. Hopefully I can make some more. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Bye.